One of the things that you have to consider after you've had a catastrophic injury is whether or not there is a need for long-term accommodations of some type. There's something in the law, in federal law, called the Americans with Disabilities Act. In 1990, Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. People don't realize it, but it really is just an extension of American civil rights law. And basically what it says is that you cannot be discriminated in the United States of America based upon any disability that you have. And so what the Americans with Disabilities Act did really is it just expanded those same rights that you already had not to be discriminated against and applied them to people with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act applies to your workplace, which is hugely important. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, if you need an accommodation and you have a doctor indicating that it's necessary, you can go to your employer, and it now applies to any employer with more than 15 employees, and you have some sort of long-term need that requires an accommodation. You get a written document saying what those accommodations are. There are some businesses that can't accommodate. And so there is some tension sometimes between the employer and the employee. The employee has a right to accommodation, but the employer has to accommodate so long as it doesn't interfere with the employer's ability to run their business. What I find is that most employers are more than happy to make the accommodations. Sometimes it's the person who's been injured who's reluctant to acknowledge their need and acknowledge that they should seek accommodation. And so if you are in that situation or you have a family member in that situation, I encourage you to acknowledge the limitations to make sure that you can do everything you can do to get better, including in the workplace, by getting the accommodations that are necessary to help you get better.